don't turn down anything but our collar. You know, we have to make this work, you know, and if we have the kind of business like I'm sure a lot of you have, you eat what you kill. You don't kill nothing you don't eat. So sometimes you got to figure out a different way to go hunt. And so in that conversation, we invite them to the table.
We have a multi-generational workforce as well, but we also have a multi-generational client base. And so what we really found is work with what works for you. Our younger staff members tend to relate much better with our younger customers. Our younger customers tend to want things more instantly, and they don't want to talk to you on the phone, and they want a quick text, and they don't mind emojis and the responses, where our older customers definitely want things to be much more formalized. And so we've paired the groups up with what works for them. Everyone has their own communication style and their own work style, and using their positives to amplify that in the customer base really makes it a win-win. The employees are much more comfortable and the customers end up much happier. So if you have folks that do things differently than you, look at it as a positive or an opportunity rather than it as a negative or something you have to work with.
Hey, Alan, introduce yourself to everybody. Brian, introduce yourself real quick.
I'm Alan Statura. I work for CT Corporation. I am the non-small business in the room. CT Corporation will turn 130 years old in December. And really what we do is we help with all of the headaches that our small, medium, and large businesses don't want to deal with in order to stay in business. So we help companies incorporate, we help them set up all of their legal paperwork, do things like business licenses, taxes, etc. All of the things so that you can focus on actually working on your small business itself rather than the legalities behind the scenes. We operate all across the world, but fortunately I get to be based in Wilmington, Delaware, and all of you are very fortunate in the fact that Delaware is the place to be for business. We represent about 500,000 entities in the state of Delaware, and they're not all located in Delaware. It's folks around the world that have decided that Delaware has the best laws, the best court system, the most permissive business statutes, and they want to be located here, at least for legal purposes, in order to transact their business around the globe. So you already have the advantage that you have all of those benefits right where you are, which is a huge benefit to start with.
So I'll just introduce myself real quick. I'm John Allen with Allen Insurance. We're general brokers. We've been around since 1932. It's actually a third generation business. So I'm the third generation business, which presents its own difficulties and challenges. Interesting question to ask an insurance broker, because we all know insurance is a very hit profession, and we all want to get into it. So we have Generation Z individuals knocking down our door every day. But I'll tell you one thing that the pandemic really brought to light was the idea of being flexible and adaptive. And so, right from the start in March of 2020, we shut our office down, but it was a seamless changeover for us because we invested in technology, and we find that carrying that forward, especially with the younger generation, that's invaluable. So we continue that and stress the technology aspect of our business.
So I'm a gamer, but I'm an old soul. So we have the luxury of, with our workforce, they're also our trainees in most instances. So we deal with a younger population in terms of the workforce, but they're extremely talented already. And they're already leveraging technology in ways that are actually enhancing how we do business, because they were literally born with an iPad in the crib. And so, one thing though that I find, as I mentioned, a lot of the business that we do is based on partnerships. So some of the more experienced partners that we have love structure, love sort of working within a box or boundaries, whereas our trainees and workforce are just like, what's the outcome, and let me be creative as hell to get it done. And so that's what we find, like, as long as you know, they're working towards what we ultimately want to see, we don't really have a problem with them, you know, doing something a little differently, whereas some of our partners are like, okay, tell me exactly what I need to do step by step to make this relationship work.
Thank you, Stephen. Antoinette Blake, A. Blake Enterprises, Social Media Marketing and Management. And I'm different because I'm a solopreneur, however, I'm a boomer. And my target market audience are boomers and beyond. And they're used to traditional marketing, you know, from newspaper ads and, you know, flyers, and now social media is here. And the gentleman that was here earlier this morning said the one biggest thing is mixing your brand. Mixing your personal and your professional brand is definitely a no-no. And I've seen the evolution of social media, and there is no longer a line. That line is not there. If you're a business owner, you're a brand. And everything that you put on social media is your brand. So I don't care what you put on your personal page. It's going to be reflective of your business page. So working with my clients, you know, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and even side hustlers, I let them know that your brand is your bond, and your bond is your brand, and it has to be right and tight. And it can't be just willy-nilly. And you have to build a relationship. And I always use the analogy of dating. When you first met your wife, when you first met your husband, you didn't go wham bam, thank you ma'am, and gone. You have to date them, you have to take them out. So social media is similar to that. So when you're posting and sharing, you're creating a relationship. And they may not be ready to buy from you from your first post, your 30th post, or your 300th post. But if they see that you're there and you're always there, and your brand is your bond, and your bond is your brand, and it's when it's ready to buy, guess what? They're gonna come to you. Thank you.
You can hold that mic. So here's a second question. I'll ask this one. And it poses to a lot of us in business, you know, how the trials and tribulations, and maybe an example of what worked good, what didn't work in using social media to promote your business. So we can go right down this one.
I'm gonna pass that on. I wanna hear what everybody else has to say. Because you know, social media can be good, and social media can be not good. But that's with anything. It's trial and error. And again, you're representing your brand, so you always want it to be right. And you can't try to be like someone else. And trust and believe, it's a numbers game. But you don't need to have 1 million followers. If I had 1 million followers and I asked every follower to give me $1, I'd be a millionaire. That's not gonna happen. And you know your friends and your family who you love to death, they're gonna be the last ones to support you. So you gotta have a hard shell, but you gotta keep doing. You know, use it as, social media should be used as a vehicle to drive people. You wanna get them off of Facebook. You want to get them off of Instagram. You want to get them to your website, to your blog, to your brick and mortar. Use these free, F-R-E-E, which is my favorite F word, just to get them to there. But do not ever, ever, never build your business on social media. Because when Mark and the crew decide that they want to shut you down, then where's your business? So make sure you own your real estate, your website, your blog, your podcast, your brick and mortar.
Truer words never spoken. I would say what works versus what doesn't work in social media, authenticity. That's the biggest thing. Especially in the gaming world, in the gaming community. If you try to fake it, they will eat you alive. If you don't know the game that you're talking about, or you try to post something that is not authentic, like they will call you out so quick and shut you down. The same thing runs true in business. If you're going to be an expert in something, you're going to put it out to the world, make sure that they can't, claim that you're wrong in that regard. But what I would also say too is, and I know Mal, you're going to smile on this, is that it depends on what social media outlet you're posting to, right? Because not every social media platform reacts the same. For example, LinkedIn. People want to be educated on LinkedIn. So we find that the posts that do the most or do the best on LinkedIn are authentic, they provide value, and then you are seen as an expert and people will then seek you out for more information. Whereas in Instagram, right, that whole thing is about the visual effect. So can you create a dope image? Can you have a compelling video with a short caption that then leads somebody then to want to talk to you? Whereas then you go to Facebook, that's more storytelling, right? And it's more working with your connection. So I'd say, one, be authentic, and two, know what works on the platform that you're looking for. Thank you.
So one of the toughest things to do when you're a business owner is to be honest with yourself, even if it's really hurtful, right? So I am honest with myself and will admit readily that social media is not my forte. And it hasn't been, and it needs to be going forward as a business owner. Throughout the years, my business has really been established based on relationship, person-to-person relationship. So it's something I need to enhance about the business.
So I'm going to take this two separate ways. Working for a large corporation, our social media is pretty well ingrained. There are social media experts who are hired to do that. They do a very formalized trend. But one of the things that we often get a lot of engagement on is we'll do these random Twitter conversations where we'll reach out to a couple customers or a couple of our competitors, and we'll schedule this Twitter chat where we ask each other questions and answer things. The questions are pre-scripted, so at least you have time to think about them. And it really drives a lot of engagement to a page that most people aren't looking at legal services social media pages for exciting views, but they come to learn a lot about it. But I'll say in my personal world, my actual day job is I do our government relations. So I work with the 50 states around the US plus Puerto Rico and the US Virgin Islands. And it's my job to build relationships with the state level government employees. And I use my personal social media to build relationships and keep relationships that way. It's really tough to keep track of hundreds or thousands of people around a rather large country and know what's going on and what's taking place with them. But social media, if you do it correctly, allows you to build that relationship. It allows you to see that their daughter got married this weekend, or that they got a new puppy, or that their mother-in-law passed away, or whatever the case may be. It gives you ways to engage with them that are personal, that are meaningful, and that keep you relevant, rather than simply reaching out for something that's business-oriented over and over and over again. So if you do it right, it really can be something that builds, maintains, or improves that relationship in a pretty easy way.
What you say. My sister, she is the private one, and I'm the one that doesn't mind sharing my social security number. And my sister, when we first started the Facebook page, Instagram page, she's like, we're not gonna overshare. We're not gonna, we're gonna be careful. You have to be careful with the things that you say. So thanks to her balance, we share, we get personal, we are ourselves without having shared too much. For example, it's the first time I say publicly that we bought a building. We're not gonna go and tell 20,000 people online that we purchased a building because there is a good and there is a bad. Then somebody else come, fall, so you have to be conscious that you are authentic, but you are also not oversharing, and you're not putting your business at risk by sharing too much information.
Social media has been really interesting for us in home care. We look at the 360 degrees of marketing, and so we dissect it to clients, caregivers, workforce, and then also the referral sources. So for us, not many people, well, let me say it this way. When people are looking for home care, if they're looking on social media, they're probably kicking the tires. But we found that most people want to talk to somebody first before they let somebody into their home. They want to kind of get to know you. And unfortunately, social media doesn't give you that much of a platform. But what we have found successes with social media and search engine optimization is recruiting workforce. But then even that becomes sticky because home care is very, very competitive. So you have to choose your search words, your organic presence and that kind of a thing carefully because you want to do something different than what your competitors are doing. The referral sources are always watching, but in a lot of ways, our traditional referral sources have become competitors. Hospitals, skilled nursing facilities, continuing care, community retirement centers have all kind of in some way tried to instill or institute their own in-home care infraction, but they do it at a boutique level. So you gotta just, you be mindful of, for us, we have to be mindful of our audience. We've had a lot more success with social media with the workforce than with the client base. And to that end too, we also have to rethink how we're doing our commercials on traditional cable TV because a lot of people don't have cable now. A lot of people are streaming. So rather than advertising now on the Weather Channel or DIY or Lifetime or Hallmark, which was really big hitters for us, now we're considering, Hulu and Peacock and, Amazon, this one and that one. So, just kind of evolve.
My name is Amanda Murphy. I'm with Bolton Bank, and I work directly with small businesses. And I would say back to the basics for social media. What has been huge for me, both in building my business with the bank and for my clients, is keeping in front of them, finding stuff that's relevant and sharing it with clients, even if it's stuff from the SBA. We were just having a conversation about access to PPP money and how so many of our clients didn't even know that it was out there. So understanding different things that would be beneficial to small businesses for me, and then sharing it with my clients and staying in front of them has been hugely helpful.
I'm gonna jump on this one as a panelist because social media is my jam. We managed 100 million in social media reach this year across several dozen companies, and we learned really couple of consistent things. And Stephen touched on a lot of this was kind of that omnipresence, like know your platform and know what that potential client or viewer wants on that platform, right? And Steve kind of said it is if you're looking at a piece of content and you post it and you go, guess what? All your viewers are gonna think the same thing, right? So it's the quality, not quantity, and it's the consistency, again, not the quantity. And I think the most important thing we tended to learn was use social media for what it was initially intended for, which was education and engaging and entertaining, right? If you do that on a regular basis, the sell will come naturally. But always remember that piece of this, and you guys, my sister's fault, that's the first time, like today was the first time I looked at your social media. You guys are killing it, 20,000 followers, because you're engaging, because you're not selling, you're showing what people really want to see. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day, and that's what's going to bring your customers.
Questions for you, Rick? I'll do the front.
Hi guys, so right now I'm business and we have social media, but I know it's important. And do you guys have any recommendations for a platform that's better over the other for construction industry?
When you say construction
Industry.
Well, everyone's on Facebook, right?
I'm sorry. Obviously, Facebook to me is like the yellow pages of the past, because if you're not on Facebook, you don't exist. So having a Facebook business page for your business, for your industry is required. If you're showcasing a lot of your jobs, then you're looking for a visual platform. And you want to show if the construction is of pools or decks or homes or whatever, your visual platforms are going to be Instagram and TikTok. Now, I've had people say to me, especially my boomers and beyond, TikTok, that's for the young people. But let me tell you something, it's not. You can build your business on TikTok without dancing. So you'll never see me dancing on TikTok, but you will see me promoting my business on TikTok. So Facebook is basically the yellow pages where people are gonna find, you go to our Facebook page, blah, blah, blah. And then if you want to showcase your industry, your jobs, then, you know, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, and even Pinterest, right? You know, for visual.
I completely agree. I would say another way to utilize Facebook would be your customers telling your story. Because your customer testimonials are gonna be huge on a Facebook. If you provide a solution that they're happy with, word of mouth is going to become your gold right there. And that's what Facebook is about. Hey, look at let's say you construct a pool. I had a barbecue, look at this beautiful pool. Oh, who did that pool? Now it's going back to your business. But I would also say though, I'm a huge advocate of LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been phenomenal for us because if you're networking and you're leveraging social media, what better place to then meet people in your industry that are going to give you the types of referrals that you need. So LinkedIn should every business should also have a presence on LinkedIn.
I'll just re-emphasize testimonials. No one can sing your praises more or better than your current customers.
I agree.
Next question.
Next question.
Bring that.
I don't know how this all works into everything that you do on social media, but I've been working in IT for 20 years. And I find this cloud computing like so interesting and so like you could really use it to your advantage in some ways. Has anybody already implemented cloud computing? And what you do?
Go ahead.
I mean, we do simply because it's a necessary evil. It provides a lot more security and it provides a lot more redundancy. One of the things that really worked well for us, we learned quickly in the pandemic that all of our business continuity plans had it. If our Wilmington office shut down, we could go to our Dover office. If our Dover office shut down, we could go to our Baltimore office. But we had never really written a plan where it was like, if everything shut down, what did we do then? And what we realized is what we had set up through cloud computing and through some of our other redundancy measures, they were perfect fits to let everything become a remote at home, online, still secure, didn't have any of the problems. So it was something that we had done all along, just quite frankly, to invest in newer technologies and such, but it really had unintended good consequences that helped in other scenarios as well.
That's how we work. That's basically the basis for how FFG works. So any given project, now check the Google Drive, or dump the file here, or we have large media files. It would be a pain to put them on a hard drive and then be driving to people's house all the time to, hey Mal, I need you to edit this video for me so we can get it out on 6 different social media platforms. I put it in a drive, it's in there, it's secure, here's the password, whatever the case is, he goes in, hits me up, hey, I made the edits. I pull it right down and then there it is, it goes up. Gaming, I mean, if we want to have a global tournament, everybody's streaming the games that they're playing from a cloud-based server. It's really fundamentally how we operate as a business.
For healthcare, home care, I mean, it's optimal. One, like everybody said, the document storage is key. Most home healthcare, hospitals, health systems, we get audited. Now, on average, I get audited at least 3 times a year. especially when you deal with Medicaid and Medicare. And if anybody's ever tried to get paid for Medicaid or Medicare, having records and being able to manipulate large amounts of data is key. Lately, the feds, CMS, who are the police for Medicare and Medicaid, have implemented something called EVV, which is electronic visit verification. So the caregivers now have an app on their phone where they have to actually clock in and out from the resident's home. No more of that calling from the subway or calling from home and checking in that way. So to cut down on fraud, waste, and abuse, the cloud is optimal. So for audits, document storage, being able to really give information and communicate back and forth with the state, as well as doctors in some cases, it's quick, it's easy, and you can do it from anywhere. I have 5 offices now, and so for me, floating around, I can get to what I need to get to in just a sample button. And I'm not the most technology proficient person, I would be very quick to tell you, but it's easy enough for me to use.
I'll just echo that, vaccination verification.
Yes, that too.
Everybody was using, when things started to come back from COVID, I mean, everybody was uploading their vaccination cards to cloud-based services, and that's how you were getting verified together. So, I mean, the applications are far and wide, and, I mean, I won't even get into blockchain.
I think this young man.
Yeah, I have a question related to social media, specifically something like Facebook. I mean, you've been posting to Facebook for a whole long time, and then all of a sudden there was some stupid post that went there. Next thing you know, you're in Facebook jail. You do the appeal, you do everything that you wanted, that you can possibly do, which makes no sense. But it's their censorship bureau that designates you to be in jail when you have other stuff being posted that's ridiculous, and they have a pass. And then all of a sudden, you get out of jail pass comes along, and then another stupid post, and you're back in jail again. What would you suggest?
Joe's talking about me. Joe's talking about me.
This is a friend.
I've been in Facebook jail for months. And how did I get in there? My blog's URL was hacked, right? It was hacked to a site that sold Viagra. So every time I posted something using the URL, Del Blogger, Facebook bots, not real people, bots. That's why I said, do not build your business on these free platforms, because if they shut you down and put you in jail, there's nothing you can do. So I am still walking. I had a dream last night, Joe, that I found out I got suspended permanently. Last night there was some potato post, and they said it was sexual in nature. But my thing is, and there was someone here from Facebook this morning, I wanted to grab them, but it's the bots. They don't have a customer service with real people, and that's what Metaverse is saying. But Joe, you are correct, because we do see a lot of things that are being posted that are not, correct. But if you get put in jail, trust and believe.
Yeah, and a lot to answer your question too, a lot of that is the sensitivity in which you post and the regularity that you post that stuff, right? So if you're posting a lot of politics stuff, I can tell you, you're gonna be a target for Facebook shutdown. And that underscores what we're really talking about is, be careful what you're posting on your personal page, because it ultimately can affect you. And this is a great example of why, and if you're completely relying on that personal page, you're gonna get shut down.
My follow-up to that is basically to echo what Antoinette said along those lines, and I didn't even put you on the spot, but it's really Chris's fault. But anyway, I'm throwing him under the bus. But the reality is, I think social media has made some of us entrepreneurs lazy, in the sense that we're not focusing on our website. Antoinette hit the nail on the head earlier when she said, too much reliance on Facebook is not the way to drum up business, per se. It should all be driving to your website. Your website leads to sales. So think about that. Your direct contact with your customer
Well, I just want to piggyback off of what you just said, because Malcolm, we preach this all the time, that your social media should be lead generation, or point back to your website. That's where the data you collect should be collected. You should own that. You should not have these social media platforms owning the data that you're making your business decisions on, because it's gonna benefit them, not you. So if you use those to drive back to your website, that's where you can collect customer data and then adjust your business strategy to satisfy your customers. So own your own data, just rely on social media as a means to get them to your store.
One of the things I'm observing, and I run payroll, is that as one of the reactions from the COVID series was people work out of their homes. Now, your local taxing authorities are going nuts because before they were all downtown, beautiful downtown Wilmington, 19801. Okay, that's easy. But now they're spread all over, the employees are spread all over Christmas. And the taxing people go, well, how do we keep track of these things? I saw this initially with Chase Bank, when Chase Bank was having conferences across the country. And their employees, every time they went to a conference, they were taxed on income at those local institutions. Here in Middletown, we're zoned. How many people actually know that you can't technically have a business in your home? Technically, you have to be in a zoning area. That's why some of us set up a chamber of commerces to have, little boxes at the chamber. So I view it as oftentimes your governmental agency about 10 years behind you as far as technology is concerned.
I would go so far as to say not oftentimes, but normally, your governmental agencies are gonna be about a decade behind. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit, I have states that are still using dot matrix printers. I've got 7 states that are still using DOS systems from 1970 something. It's really quite scary. What I would say your current solution to that, and where a lot more of the businesses are going, is to the virtual workspace. So there happens to be Home, who does the virtual workspace, who provides a physical location, a place to get mail, a place to actually come in and work, a place to be based, and that's what we're seeing. If you look at the legislation that's going on around the country, everyone's trying to deal with this in their own way, and it's very, very inconsistent. But I'll say as an older, more traditional business, I send my bills by US mail to where the entity is located. No one's there. If I send them by email to them, they actually receive them and pay them. So this really has been a major change, and the governmental agencies are way behind in doing it. Most of our legislation around the US still requires us to send things by hard copy to a physical location. And so when we start to think about the concept of what we would call a principal place of business, it was always the entity's primary location or their headquarters. In so many cases, that's their home now, or it's nowhere, it's in a cloud. They're digital nomads traveling the globe, working in random places, and so there is no actual place that they're based. And we're trying to bring the states along with us, but it takes a while to get both the attorneys and the governmental authorities to that same place. And so really the recommendation is utilizing a place like a Home, like a virtual office, where they can physically be based, whether they're there one day a week, one day a month, or one day a year. At least it gives them a place to be grounded.
All right, next question. No social media questions, no. Yes, Better not be a social media question.
It's a game.
I could ask a social media question, but I actually just wanted to give a quick tidbit of information, right, as to how you had got your website. I remember when you had got your website shut down. But I want everybody to write this down just so that they don't get caught by the Facebook box or whatever happens, right? www.mywot.com. So Facebook uses this website to ensure the trust and safety of the website that you could possibly be doing lead generation or sending your ads to. I've been using this for probably about 3 or 4 years now, and it's been a godsend. It's an extension on Google Chrome. So download Google Chrome. I don't use Microsoft Edge or Internet Explorer. We haven't used Internet Explorer for a long time. But it's a Chrome extension called.
Unless you're a governmental authority.
Unless you work for the government, right? Thank God, I say all right. But it's WOT, Website Security and Privacy. Facebook uses this particular website to ensure the trust of a website that you're sending, that's being sent anywhere via Facebook. So if you guys are concerned about, a particular website that you're going to from potentially a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, even TikTok uses this website as well. So one more time, it's www.mywot.com. So like I said, I've been using this for probably about 3 or 4 years. And also, real quick, me and Steve, I want to get this perspective from everybody who's not Steve, right? Because me and Steve, we talk about it all the time, right? So we go back and forth constantly about Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. In your specific industries, has YouTube been a place where you've been able to convert any of the data or convert any of the awareness into sales for you guys? How has YouTube been working for you guys, and are you going to be implementing more, not using it? How's it working?
Nobody.
I personally love YouTube, but being a financial institution, everything that we do is through LinkedIn, so super strict with us. But I really think that we could benefit from going to different platforms and being more diverse. So hopefully soon, but for me, it's not something I can do.
Are you doing video optimization strategy?
No, but
Are you doing tips and tricks for small business? I love
We'll
YouTube.
talk. We'll talk.
Everyone knows I love YouTube, right? YouTube can be used just like TikTok. No, I'm sorry. You know me, I love something. Don't be asking us.
Go ahead.
We'll take this part. I'll push it.
No, you go ahead. You finish your thought. I would say, for our line of business, yes, we have used YouTube for different things that are going on for the workforce as well as for the client base. Every department now, there's a human resources payroll, there's a customer service week. Different times, different audiences. We try to build awareness and use it to be the employer of choice for the client, for the workforce. But for the client base, we talk about things like fall prevention, brain injuries, older adults protection, because a lot of seniors are at risk. Now is the time that we're probably going to start talking more about programs like LIHEAP, which is for the energy programs and things like that. People will watch something as opposed to sometimes Facebook. I can't really explain what it is, especially seniors. Seniors can get hooked on YouTube and it takes you one to the other. And I think I'm not that savvy with it, but depending on what your content that you're watching, it kind of guides you to different things that are similar to that.
I don't, but Rose, I think we would make a great reality show.
I want to use that one.
We do a decent amount of YouTube. We try and use it to educate people. There are so many different complexities that people are either really confused about, really scared about, or they don't know. And doing a couple-minute YouTube gives them enough information to at least be educated on it and figure out, do I want to try and tackle this on my own? Do I want to reach out and have somebody help me with this?
Would you define YouTube as social media? I'm starting to feel like YouTube is kind of outside of the realm of traditional social media.
I think it depends. It depends on how people use it. I think everybody has their own interaction with it. we do a lot of podcasts and a lot of different YouTubes that we'll throw into our Facebook posts. We'll throw it into our Twitter feed, and so we kind of make it into a social media to try and get the information out there. The other thing I'll say is, obviously, if you're suspended, I'll give you the legal perspective, but if you're in Facebook jail for a day, don't bother. But if you end up in Facebook jail or Twitter jail or TikTok jail for any extended period of time, and you can't get an actual human to respond to you, please know that every entity is required to have a registered agent, and registered agents forward the documentation they get onto that entity's legal team. If you want to get Facebook to respond to you, sending a letter to their lawyer is going to be the fastest response you'll ever get. So we represent Twitter, we don't represent Facebook, but if you go to delaware.gov, it'll tell you who represents every entity, and you can find their registered agent right up the street in Wilmington. So a simple US mail, a drop-off, or a FedEx to that registered agent gets it to their legal team within 24 hours. So if you want to have a set of eyes on it and get something taken care of real fast, go through their attorneys.
I see a strongly worded letter from Ms. Blake coming.
So final question, right? Final question. Formal education will make us a living. Self-education will make us wealthy. Share either a book, a podcast, something you're studying for personal growth.
Alan, first of all, let me tell you about Alan. Alan spends like 250 days in a plane, so he creates his own podcast and experience.
I probably am on the road about 300 or so days a year, so it works out really well that I'm actually in Wilmington, in Delaware today. So thank you for scheduling appropriately. That helps a lot. Honestly, I've done this for 22 years, and I've just learned through experiences and through working with customers, working with states, working with everyone about what it is they need, what it is they want help with, what it is they're confused about. And I've really taken it from one side to the next side and used it to benefit the other side. So I can't say that I've sat and listened to a specific podcast or read a specific book. I've listened to customers, I've listened to state employees, and I've listened to people who want to be one or the other and kind of heard what their struggles were and used those to move forward.
So, have in the past, have I looked at Dale Carnegie or Stephen Covey's book? Yes, absolutely. But if I would say right now, my success in the business has not been through academia, more so it's life experience, and to that end, dysfunction. In fact, if you're somebody that's interviewing for my team, and especially at the leadership level, I always ask you, do you have dysfunctional experience professionally or personally? Because home care is not as simple as sending somebody to somebody's home. Oftentimes we are faced with opioid addiction, incarceration, domestic abuse, some type of probation abuse scam. So while we can train you on the Myers-Briggs or the 7 steps of being successful in time management and all that kind of thing, do you really know what the streets are? Do you really know about elder abuse? So for us, again, I think my success has been through dysfunction.
I second that. Definitely having lived through experiences is huge. There are books out there, as you were referencing. One that I've read recently, which is amazing, is The Happiness Advantage. It's not a new book, but it really plays to coming out of the pandemic and looking at things differently, and it works with businesses. It's all about owning your own business and or working in a business and creating positive change. It's not airy-fairy, everything's great. No, it's actually talking things out and figuring out solutions. Really, really found it beneficial in my work and working with my clients.
My experience at Purdue, like I shared earlier, we started working from the line all the way to management role. Before I left the plant, my director of operations, he wanted to keep me no matter what. So he created this position retention. So he wanted me to find ways to retain employees in a chicken plant. And what I learned through that role was listening. You know, are you listening to their needs? Are you acting? Because you can listen, but you don't do nothing about it, you know? So simple things like, you know, when you come back from break, I give you dry gloves instead of you going back to the line in a wet environment, cold environment with wet gloves. Something so simple make great changes. And I took all that to the bakery, which I put with a smaller team, but each one of them has their own needs. And just listening to them and applying what we have learned.
So I think there's a recurring theme, right? As in life, as in business. So the more we experience things in life, the better the more we learn. Just like if we read a book how to be a parent, we don't really know how to be a parent until we actually are parents, right? So same thing with the business. So the more bruises that we have, the more experience we have, the more we can gain from that. The more no's, the more we get. Yes.
So, I spoke a little bit earlier and I said, when I originally went to school, I went for engineering, and coding was not something that I was interested in doing. Full circle, I'm actually now investing some time in Udemy courses on C# and coding, utilizing Unreal Engine, which is the game engine that Facebook and some of the most popular games in the world are, and I'm coding my own game.
As a social media manager who's on social media all day, every day, run from anyone that ever said they're a social media expert, because it changes overnight. I wake up and there's new things all the time. So I'm always on social media. I've written books, resource guides, I've been quoted in books, but the one book that starts me out every day is the Bible. And I'll read scriptures, and that will arm me for everything and anything each and every day.
So we're gonna wrap up, but I wanna just, like we did with the morning panel, just kind of quickly, 5 seconds, each person, speed, motivation, what's kind of the closing thoughts of the entrepreneurs?
What do you mean by that?
Motivational. If you're an entrepreneur, the advice you would give them.
I think that what we just said, it was listening. I mean, that's huge. Your story was everybody's story was super motivating, but listening and then implementing. You can't just listen and not actually implement. And there is a crisis as far as getting people to come back to work, and I'm not sure where everybody is, but you seem to have it down, right? Your employees have stayed with you the whole time, so that's huge. So listening, staying positive.
Motivation. Knowledge leads to confidence, which leads to success. Ignorance leads to fear, which leads to failure. Don't be overcome by your biggest critic, which sometimes is your inner critic. Check your inner critic.
Pay attention. It's even on my necklace. When you're seeking for that position of work, or you are wanting to improve your recipe or your business, or even your marriage. I mean, I am. If you don't pay, all you have to do is pay attention. When you start paying attention to your marriage, when you start paying attention to your kids, when you start paying attention to that role that you want, and you start paying attention, you will get it.
I really think it's just enjoying the ride and enjoying the process. There are so many things that can derail us. There are so many things that can distract us. But if we're enjoying it, we're learning from it, and we're growing from it, we end up in the place where we should be. We end up more and more successful.
So you got hard work, honesty, and always doing the next right thing.
One of the truest things I ever heard was, if you walk into a room and you think you're the smartest person in the room, turn around and walk out.
And I like to say, it's all about the give back. Pay it forward. What you put out, you're definitely gonna get back. So when you lay head to pillow, make sure it's with a clean conscience that you've not done anything negative, and pay it forward.
All right, round of applause.
All right, for our second